All right. Good morning. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another week in the markets. Um, I'm obviously glad to be on this morning. We did have a bit of inclement weather come through this area, but ultimately, where I'm located and the effect of where this particular hurricane passed, we didn't really see much of any sort of wind or rain damage. So ultimately, we're doing pretty well at this time, and just glad to be back on. So with all of that, let's go ahead and get started. So my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. It is August 30th, 2021. And let's take a quick look at last week. We obviously had the market anticipating some reaction and ultimately some decisions to be made with regards to the Federal Reserve speech inside of the Jackson Hole event. Um, some of the speech by Federal Chair Jerome Powell was informative to some potential tapering actions occurring either later this year or into early 2022. But ultimately, there was some discussion of keeping interest rates stable, and with the continual discussion of inflationary effects and how it's affecting both the job, wage, and overall economic conditions for the U.S. So all this information digested through the market on Friday. We obviously had some fairly bullish activity on Friday. So we want to ultimately look and see if that's going to have the type of strength for continuation and what can we expect for the next round of basically this week of trading. So starting off, we'll just take a look at what did the 10-year interest rate do based on Friday's activity. And with the 10-year interest rate, and if you've been listening to some of Brian's weekly market recaps and swing trading discussions, we're sort of in this area of, I would say, Goldilocks pattern. There's this constant back and forth between lower interest rates providing certain um, sectors, certain areas of the market with the type of conditions for growth. And ultimately, those are going to be some of our growth based sectors. But with interest rates moving higher, we also have other inflationary related sectors that can perform during those periods of time. And it's more notable when the 10-year interest rate is moving with a clear direction to sort of step into some of those trades and expect the type of follow through that we got in recent history. Something like the TNX moving in this very straightforward weekly breakout structure led to a lot of strength in financials, industrials, materials, and even energy. But as we saw topping action and as we saw a decline, the recovery back into tech growth, um, certain aspects of I would say leveraged companies or even speculative companies also seeing some continuation and bid inside of this period of time. Now that we've cycled through these two regions of the chart, our next best step is to take a look at where we've been and in the short term discuss what is the more likely scenario for interest rates moving forward. As we do have in the case of our weekly, we do have a very clear double bottom, not only with our price level, but also met with strong reactions from this point. So this area ultimately defines for us both a range and also an indication that interest rates are likely to stabilize above these levels. We're kind of seeing the price reaction inside the TNX, or and ultimately even though we came from a strong sell-off, this can obviously set the stage for a corrective rally inside of this index. Moving into the next couple of weeks, we obviously are seeing some upper quote unquote resistance at this peak, and we are stabilizing on the weekly near our 50 period moving average. Now, when looking at the weekly, we sort of reduce some of the noise that the daily can provide, and ultimately the daily has a similar picture. We had two strong reactionary points near approximately the 1.5 or sorry, I'm forgetting my 1.1. Yeah, I was trying to say 1.15, but for some reason that eluded me. But 1.1% providing some of that double bottom support. We're seeing the clear upper quote unquote resistance near this area about 1.4. And at this time, we're somewhat stuck between these two ranges. We have that weekly high, and then now we have this sort of daily low that's more clear, along with the 50 period on the weekly. So these areas of interest are indicative for how we can think about where the market may want to rotate money moving forward. If we see strong reactions through these price levels, and ultimately in what direction is chosen, that can sort of lead the way for the next round of some sort of trade setup. And whether that's going to be more of a sort of short-term swing or just setting the stage for what sectors are going to perform in that time frame, similar to what we saw with our previous highs, and we saw the financials starting to come off around this cross here, along with the impulsive gaps that we saw leading to some of the inflationary sectors actually performing and starting to perform both post-election and after this impulsive gap. So the interest rate dynamic and the way the market responds to it is something that can ultimately just help us guide whether we see relative strength in certain sectors, along with which sectors are going to help the market continue to perform. As we look as well into our US dollar index, and once again, just looking at a weekly, given that a week has passed, we note that we're at this area of interest for the dollar that so far has been showing a lack of confirmation to the upside. Now, with this weekly structure, we note that a lot of that sort of anticipatory bullish breakout, especially above previous swing highs, this has been somewhat negated. We see the beginning of the engulfing structure back down. We see the signals for false breakouts. And ultimately, on the shorter term time frames, something like the daily, we are, of course, losing our short-term trend that led us into this potential breakout occurring. Now, obviously, with any trending market, we like to use moving averages as a general guide. And short-term, the dollar index has not necessarily lost any major moving average support. We're coming into the 50, and ultimately, this can react as it has in the past. But in terms of just price analysis, what we're seeing here is that the dollar does have some hesitancy, not only to clear these previous swing highs, but also showing that as we come back into shorter term resistance points, there is a selling reaction against it, which simply means that we are coming back into a more normal trading range that has already been defined. We do not have the sort of energy to get out. And often when we see a failure to leave a trading range, as long as things sort of continue to return back into them, we often see the opposite effect, where the market likes to retest the lows of that trading range. Now, this is, of course, just probability and sort of how markets work. But if we are looking for the most likely scenario and the fact that this market did not break out, we want to keep in mind that this may be the next spot that it wants to head towards. And once again, in these conditions, we have interest rates, specifically in the 10-year, but we can look at other yields and see similar patterns and structures. Interest rates are relatively suppressed, but they're not necessarily at the lows. We saw reactions from that double bottom in interest rates with some of our inflationary sectors like financials and materials coming back to life. Industrials and energy took a little bit more work. But now we're also seeing another enemy of some of those sectors, the dollar. If the dollar is to be weak and the interest rates remain either muted or even moving slightly lower, then ultimately that can provide sort of a scenario for the market to have everything pointed in one direction. And we will see how that transpires. But ultimately, as we get back into these trading ranges, we have to respect the normal rules of market, I would say, market analysis and market technical structure. As one thing fails, often you come back to test where it came from. It's just the dynamic of repeating price structure and price reactions. So dollar at this time moving potentially lower back to test near the 91.8 if we are to come back to the lower end of the trading range. The interest rates, of course, have been trapped between that double bottom and the reactionary highs at about 1.4%. And market fear, at least in the short term, has once again returned to quote unquote normal. We're seeing that the volatility has once again reacted off of a sharp sell-off in the market. That was, of course, back about a week and a half ago. That reaction did not stabilize in the form of a breakdown of trend. It did not form any sort of lower high in the market. And ultimately, the volatility was compressed and removed once again from this index, leading to our spike into a fairly standard trend line that we have above, and ultimately a resistance point for this index. So moving into this week, and as we are once again trading at all-time highs, we want to just rinse and repeat what this market has been doing until something changes. We know that as markets grind higher and as they can ride higher and higher on sort of a wall of worry, a certain amount of risk in the market that's obvious and present, but the price is not reacting to it, that is a moment in time where something like volatility can remain suppressed. We can see lower prices in the VIX continue as the market grinds higher. And ultimately, we will hit points where something changes, we get stabilization, and then we get sharp moves higher in volatility, often led by sharp moves lower in the market. So as someone who sees all-time highs and sees potential risk in the market, you as a trader, you as an investor can decide to come into something like the VIX or just any volatility product in general and put on hedges. Those hedges are best placed when the market is both calm and ultimately riding up a wall of quote unquote worry, with the understanding that if we get a volatility spike, so far these areas are the target. We have not seen significant closures above this overall trend line for the entirety of the COVID crash and reset of volatility. So moving forward, that continues to be the structure of this, and ultimately expecting more without confirmation is playing a little bit on the hope game. Now, as we discussed with some of the effects of this current hurricane and ultimately just short-term reactions of the market, We do have something like natural gas breaking out once again on the daily, keeping in mind that this market has been trending for quite a while. We are seeing the beginnings of a potential monthly and yearly breakout in this market. And just noting that on the higher time frames, while the daily structure looks absolutely great for trend, we are coming into some known resistance. We have a previous spike high back in November of, let's see, that's 2018. And then, of course, on the monthly, we have something like the 200 period moving average. When you think of the time frame perspective here and the amount of strength something like that might have, keep in mind that the daily 200 is one that is often respected for a period of multiple weeks. So if this monthly provides any sort of resistance, we should see some sort of reaction on the daily, ideally maybe losing this daily trend, and then simply pulling back into normal levels as we have gotten a bit extended on the daily. Idea is different in crude, but crude did have a possible technical breakout. We saw our daily double bottom form that led into a final sort of sell-off. And usually when I see price recover from this sort of technical structure, it often leads to sort of a short trap. Ultimately, we did lose support on the daily, but if we bring it to the weekly, what that looks like is the form of an engulfing. As we came back into range, we restored this previous support. And as we broke this sort of downtrend resistance, markets can ultimately stabilize here and look for higher prices, as this may have potentially set up a short trap. So little bit of strength and energy, both natural gas and crude, but as with other markets that we're analyzing, keep the higher time frames in mind. They look great on the daily, but there are some concerns on the weekly and monthly. Markets should react accordingly as long as those higher time frames are being respected. And with something like our sector analysis, we want to see something like XLE maybe recovering back to the 50 and seeing a bit of, I would say, price chop as these moving averages compress. That obviously, larger context is our main trend, or sorry, our main range. Sorry, losing my words here. Okay, so with that said, we've looked at some of the sectors last week. I probably won't need to go through some of those again. Let's just look at our overall market conditions going into this week. So we'll start off with our weekly, and we'll start off with the SPY. The SPY, of course, making new all-time highs and also closing at a new weekly high. Very important because as we saw, we had a weekly posture that had the potential for pivoting. We talked a little bit about this pivot idea last week. And the idea is that if the market closes a candle structure, and then the following candle structure is one that closes weaker, and by weaker, I mean actually closing below the previous close, it gives the market an opportunity to pivot against the dominant trend. We've seen this dominant trend, of course, be to the upside, but as you get these moments in time where you get possible weekly or daily pivoting closes, it can lead to both lower prices if markets do confirm that that close. The opposite is of course true as well. If you see this potential pivot and ultimately that cannot be confirmed on this time frame, you can get the opposite reaction, and that can be a very strong momentum push, as market participants may have been using this area as a short for a play against the dominant trend. So as we've continued to see higher prices, a lot of these pivots have been invalidated. We're obviously seeing very strong structure and trend, and something as aggressive as a 12 period exponential moving average shows the type of weekly reactions that we're getting on these pull downs. It has been essentially since the pre-election timeframe, since we've even had a weekly closure below a momentum exponential moving average like the 12. And this is, of course, on the weekly, with the daily coming into the 20 and 50 period moving averages. So our overall posture in the market still remains strong, and something as simple as an MA can show the type of strength and just how aggressive this trend has been so far. Shifting over into our daily, we see our technical breakout at this time. We know that the volume is one of potential confirmation. And as we look at just a 2-day posture, we note that the market did sell into the Jackson Hole event. That obviously was negated by the reaction on Friday. And ultimately, this can set the stage for the market moving against our moving average supports and ultimately riding that quote unquote wall of worry. No sector at this time is showing any real warning signs based on last week's analysis. And we are seeing multiple sectors coming into all-time highs or setting the stage for another buy in its trend. And finally, if we dig into just our short-term time frame, we can see that we cleared previous ranges leading into this breakout. We also had this invalidation of this sell-off, which of course was relatively quick, but as we've done 100% retracement, stabilized near the highs and broken out stronger, we want to keep this in mind as we start to stair step into the trend continuation. NASDAQ has a similar posture. Only key difference is as we look at the weekly, we note that the NASDAQ is and has remained extended from the 20 period MA on the weekly for much longer than the overall SPY and S&P 500. We also have a very simple channel-based resistance that the market is coming into. Often looking at something like a 4-hour will give you the actual price levels of this channel, as some of them are not going to be present on the weekly or daily candles. But if we look at the weekly, we can drag this down and see that price is coming into this channel-based resistance. Now, the idea is somewhat straightforward here as we get into this point. If we see a strong pivot against this level, that can set the stage for a much sharper correction inside of the NASDAQ, ultimately coming back to the 20 period and ultimately coming back to channel support, assuming that these all coincide around the same time. But at this time, as markets have been grinding against this channel and ultimately pressing higher on strong trending and I would say trend weak candle structure, we have not seen conditions yet for this channel tactics resistance. Stepping in short here may seem attractive on the weekly due to the risk to reward, but until we get some sort of confirmation, what we want to avoid is a breakout from this channel and setting up the channel resistance as support. That can lead to a new trend forming in the market, and something as simple as our 2 weekly candles here can set up the posture for that new trend as we extend further and further from our main support lines. So these are how trends start to accelerate, and we've seen a lot of stocks do that on the intraday time frame. As they start to break out and as resistances do not confirm, we can see an acceleration of trend and ultimately setting up new sort of markers for the market to respect or reject. So NASDAQ's daily posture, similar to SPY, very strong, trading above moving averages. And I'll just take this off for now until we need it. But just keeping in mind that these are not necessarily buy points. As you're getting into potential resistance, know that the market continues to be strong, but a rejection here can set the stage for a much sharper decline. So as we move into this week, this area is likely going to be of key importance, and how we close this week, especially in this area, is going to set the stage for the next round of the NASDAQ. Shifting into our 1 hour, we see that similar posture where the NASDAQ not only had the sharp sell-off, but the retracement occurred much quicker. We actually saw confirmation that this was going to be sort of stopping the price lower into, I believe, Monday's session last week. We saw a bit of just consolidative price action, no real bias in either direction. And then we see our clean breakout from trend, or said it again, from range. It's either trend or range, one or the other. Okay, and then our dark horse of the market, the IWM. We do need to note that we've had a repeat of our trading range reaction so far. It is also notable that the IWM came off of its daily 200 before having to come lower and test some of the previous lows. This has started to occur more frequently as we saw prices start to recover before coming to test previous swing lows. And using this trading range as just a general guide, we note that the price does still remain within it, but it's showing higher conviction of buyers to step in earlier. And of course, with sellers or shorts, they are of course covering or forced to cover much quicker as opposed to coming into previous lows. The weekly posture here is one of obviously continual strength. We're seeing both a buy setup, potential setup on the weekly, leading into a strong engulfing, and not only closing much higher, but also clearing previous swing lows. So while this market is in a range, we are coming into some areas that we expected chop and did not get it. This area that VPOC has sat at for so long in the IWM, the market ultimately did not have to spend much time here and transact. Instead, we got ignition from this area relatively quickly, and it shows a bit of conviction that this market may want to move both from this area due to the information on Friday, but additionally, we want to be careful looking at this previous resistance because this type of ignition has not occurred as quickly as in recent history. Often the market will come from the lows, return to VPOC, spend some time chopping and transacting, and then ultimately move higher or retest the lows. Now we are seeing sort of a 1 to 2 day consolidation period. That, of course, sets up like a bull flag structure off of this previous swing low. And clearing resistance along with igniting from VPOC indicates a conviction here, a certain amount of strength that we want to be careful shorting, which has, of course, worked very well near the highs. So as this market is igniting, and you can see on the daily, we're clearing the 20, the 50, coming off this low, and ultimately having that same volume posture as the other markets, but in a different spot. This market may be ready to not only break out, but coming into this resistance, if we put up a pivot, something like a weekly pivot, and fail to confirm it, that breakout can have the type of energy to lead this market much higher. Something akin to what we saw back in time near this range, where we basically built the type of energy to ignite the market higher. This trading range has been intact for quite a while. Can we see that final move through it and ultimately breaking higher? Now, this is, of course, with the understanding that the theme of last Friday is that the inflationary trade might be back online. So we obviously would want to see healthcare, biotech, financials and industrials sort of lead the charge, and the IWM containing a lot of those stocks will ultimately perform along with those sectors. So, um, last but not least, we'll just take a quick look at the Dow. Posture here is very similar to the overall markets, just noting that we do have a potential lower high. So if you're looking for that additional confirmation, getting off of the 20 and ultimately clearing this sort of 2 to 3 day balance zone would lead to a potential move to all-time highs. We are well above a consolidative trading range, and the ignition from here, while a bit, I would say, choppy overall, has confirmed to be structurally bullish. We're seeing some sort of points of concern when it comes to a sell-off, but the trending moving average on the 20 and ultimately the posture here is still bullish. So that market should continue to perform along with the rest of the market. All right, so quick overview of where we are, where we sit. Market does have a lot of sort of interesting gappers this morning. We're seeing some lower floats and maybe a bit of short squeeze activity in some of these names. One thing to just kind of remark, last week we saw the likes of support.com sort of finalizing its parabolic move to the upside. And one thing we noted in the chat room was that there was some very clear sort of trending support as this market was grinding higher. You can see that we formed this double bottom in the morning. We found some pivot points against this trend line, and ultimately a crack of this area led to that waterfall sell-off in this name. If we're seeing rinse and repeat across multiple stocks like this, keep those simple trend lines sort of in the back of your mind. And if you are long or if you're capturing a trend, wait for those moments either to get into the prevailing trend or ultimately take profit or even consider a short against the prevailing trend, which often has to confirm a break of this area to really get the waterfall sell-off that's needed. Remember, you don't need to catch the top, and ultimately the risk on the momentum can be found near the highs, but a breakdown after signs of weakness can lead to the type of sell-off that a short may want to consider. So with that said, I'm Jared. This is Engineering the Market. Thanks for all the well wishes, of course, and as always, we'll kind of cover a bit more detail into the week, but stay alert, stay tuned to any news or changes in posture from the Fed, and use this as a guide to kind of figure out where to focus for the week to come. So see y'all tomorrow. Stay tuned for pre-market prep.
Hey, good morning, Norm. Happy Monday.
Hey, good morning, brother. How are you? Hope you had a great weekend.
Oh, I'm fantastic. Had a great weekend. Was doing a lot of work on the Tuesday presentation coming up, but got some yard stuff done, and spent a little time outdoors with the kids. So, it was an absolute blast. How was your weekend, brother?
It was good, man. Never long enough. We had a friend of ours' birthday party. We hosted at the house. Had I don't know, 20 people over here Friday. Took a day or so to recover. It was good, man. I was gotta say, I'm thinking about all the people in New Orleans, Louisiana, down on the Gulf Coast. Hope everybody's doing all right out there.
Yeah, absolutely. They seem to be the target this year. It's always kind of funny because, you live in Texas, I'm in Florida, so we're kind of always paying attention to these hurricanes off and on, and they always seem to kind of pick a favorite part every year.
Yep.
And it seems like that little window there, per usual, is getting targeted pretty well.
Absolutely.
So we got some stuff on the gappers today, which is pretty nice. I mean, definitely some things to look at here.
Yep.
Moving around a little bit. I think the volume on the SPY overall doesn't look too fantastic, but
yeah, I mean, you got to keep in mind about half of what we got on that gappers list, at least to the upside, are low floats. So all that yellow.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm sure we'll hopefully pick a couple of good things out of here. Maybe get some catalyst peeked out here. As far as, the rest of it goes, I think what Jared was talking about with the SPY, we did close high on the week last week, which I thought, pretty interesting. I thought the push on that day had pretty good volume with it. So it'll be really interesting to see what the SPY ends up wanting to do overall, which, we'll see how that goes. Just to peek through a couple of things we were looking at last week, we had a GPS ended up being gapped up a bit in the day, and it had a little bit of a rally, but ended up having a big sell-off. But on high volume, GPS might be something to watch for a play still today with that volume coming back in. We'll have to see what happens. DVAX hit a lot of selling and sold off as well. Sava ended up having kind of just a lot of volume, but it ended up being on a fairly narrow range. Big was one of our movers. Big was gapped down because of earnings, but then had this really nice squeeze that went through most of the day. High volume there, maybe shorts covering, maybe some longs buying in at value. Let's see, we had Piton, kind of a similar situation there, closed low though. And then Baba did a whole lot of nothing. Baba, we actually talked about this on Baba when it had gapped down, and we actually specifically mentioned that it looked like there was some potential here in Baba to not really do a whole lot, because lately that's just kind of been what it's doing. It's been chopping and consolidating these. How about you, Norm? You seeing anything out there that's jumping out you as an early thing to take a peek at?
Negative.
Yeah, I
can just go through the gappers list as usual. As you said, low volume on the SPY, not much of a gap. Everything's pretty quiet this morning. Jay Powell spoke from Jackson Hole Friday. Markets tended to like what he said overall. We'll see how the week goes, but this is generally a pretty quiet week right before we go into the holiday and get into kind of closer to fall trading action. So
yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, I'll pop over to the gappers list here, and we'll go through a few things here, see if we can pop out anything that looks really interesting, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to start by clearing off the list from last week, which was quite the list. Still haven't taken the time to learn Carlos's handy trick for creating new rows, and apparently I'm not going to learn on the fly, so I'm just going to do this. All right. So we've got those in there. Let's pop over. I always forget to do this. Hold on. Let me map my montage. I knew this morning when I was getting set up, I need to add this to my notes. I was like, man, there's one thing in here that I know I'm not doing. Come on. Of course, now it's going to be difficult. Nope. Give it a couple more tries here. I don't know why it's being difficult. Maybe it's because there's nothing in it. Oh, that's why there was nothing in it. All right. There we go. That's it. That's the one. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, y'all.
There you go.
All right. So be big. Be big being pretty big this morning. Other than its float. 50 million float. Short float on TI coming in at 20%. That's pretty good. Only 7% held by institutions. So obviously, retailers are in play here. We had a big buy up previous week on Friday. That got through VWAPs at value near 6. Today we find ourselves gapped up pretty well. Anything going on with BBig?
Yeah, it's just NFT stuff. But I would say this: keep in mind the short float was reported on the 13th. That number is from the 13th. It's now, I mean, we'll get in
almost the next month. Yeah,
it's almost the next month. The stock was trading around what is that? What price? From the 13th, it was in the $3 range or so.
Yeah.
And, last Friday it got up and double that. So my guess is a decent chunk of that short float might be out of it. Who knows? It's possible, but anyway.
No, it might be one of those opportunities for it to squeeze a little bit at the open and then catch the fill back the other direction if you guys are inclined on playing these kind. Let's hit our little bit of our
for short.
Yeah, which we might not. Let's get into a little bit of the what do they call it? The short float, the SFGs, the short float garbage. And basically, if you guys are looking at our gappers list, when you look at it, anything that's in the yellow highlight is going to come into our short float category. So you can see here ATER, which is a Tyrian Inc. Definitely gapping out. Also had a really nice buy up yesterday. So certainly interesting to see something's going on there. I'll throw that on there. I'll pop through a couple of these, Norm, and then if there's like a specific catalyst that really catches you, holler at me. Affirm Holdings. Oh man, here's Affirm. So I've been following Affirm because I actually used them a couple of times, and they're a pretty nice little credit agency. I know they had a partnership with Amazon in the works. So yep, I have a feeling.
That's exactly that's what it is.
Yeah, I had a feeling that they were popping because of that. So that's really cool. Solid catalyst for Affirm. I've never traded this stock before, so I'm not really sure what that will entail for us as far as how this one trades. The catalyst itself is incredibly strong catalyst. They're going to have a partnership with Amazon, so you can use them as a credit card basically when you're checking out. We've been
buy now, pay later.
Yeah, exactly. We've been downtrending for quite a while. Think about Home Shopping Network meets Amazon, right? So you get the big sell-off here, big buy on yesterday with the news of that happening. Today we find ourselves gapped up. So it'll be interesting to watch. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Been accumulating here for a long time. News came out kind of on Friday, a little bit before Friday. Look at this tight consolidation, heavy volume, obviously some market maker warehousing and long-term guys getting in, and then boom, today we're up at $100. So it might be hard to trade. That's quite a gap. We'll have to see how the spread plays on this thing. Support.com, still being support.com. This stock has been crazy the past few days. Today looks like it is continuing that. I am not loving the way the pre-market looks right now after this just completable rangy candle. I'm not really sure how we would play this one, but obviously in play. Anything new on Spirit, Norm, or just same?
Same old, brother.
Same old. We got Root Inc. Root Inc. also gapping up. 47 million on the float. Not as bad. But nice gap up today, getting through the averages. It looks like we set up a value area. Again, it looks like we're going to be in quite a few low price stocks today. We're sitting in the $8 range on Root.
Wall Street bets.
Man, those guys are having fun. Gotta appreciate it. Bridgeline Digital. Are they like a Bitcoin kind of deal, Bridgeline?
You know what? This one just popped up, and I hadn't even had a chance to look at it yet.
Cool.
So
they look like they've been like kind of moving down a couple days. Looks like they had some pre-catalyst or something come out on Friday. Today they find themselves gapped up. You notice this kind of similar pattern that you're seeing in all of these major stocks that we're looking at right now. All of them consolidating or downtrending, and then high volume buy up, and then a gap. So that's like 3 or 4 stocks now that all carry that same kind of pattern. So that's pretty interesting to notice. NRX Pharmaceuticals, pre-market looks okay. Low float, $15. Price range a little bit better, but float a little low. Finds itself gapping up off of the averages after consolidating at value a little bit. Not a horrible looking daily chart, actually. Maybe I'll just throw that on there for the low float world. I guess we'll, just because we have to, I guess.
They had some phase 2 and 3 clinical trial info that came out earlier this morning. So,
and that's on NRXP. Nice. Hey, it's pharma. People love playing those pharmas. They can get very volatile. Tau Education Group looking horrible. This group, I remember trading Tau a while ago, but it was somewhere right up in here. It must have been maybe even before that, but it has been in an incredibly tight range. Pre-market looks algo at best. L2 looks all over the place, lots of downside. So I wouldn't be watching Tau today unless something really changes in the way this thing looks. NCTY, I'm just going to pass on this one. Kind of the same thing I'm saying about Tau. We do have some action on it, but this pre-market does not look very favorable. The 9 limited, that's pretty interesting. DVAX, which is Dynavax, they have had some movement. They've been moving off of 10 for a couple days. Look at this big build on volume. Now they smash into this red candle here. DVAX may actually be kind of interesting to watch, but low float, no pre-market movement. I think we can do better. So let's see here. WKHS popping up. I haven't seen WKHS for a couple of days. I'll throw this one on the list just for a little Wall Street Bets nostalgia, and we'll come back and see if it gets some volume in a little bit. High short float according to TI of 33%, which is not surprising. WKHS must be just one of the most shorted stocks because it always has such a high float. But maybe WSB is planning on doing something about that today. But for now, pre-market action, meh at best. And we find ourselves gapping into the averages a bit. But we need some volume or something to happen before it's going to be ready to trade. NURO here. NURO's been on the list for a couple of days. They had like a pharma catalyst or something like that. I forget what their deal was. But we had a big breakout here on volume. NURO might be worth watching for a second day play off of this big candle. Volume's a little light, currently downtrending, but with not a whole lot of things jumping up on our list that look fantastic, we'll go ahead and put NURO on there. Wouldn't mind finding a replacement though, to be honest. Pixelworks Inc. Pre-market volume not great. Daily volume interesting. Had a big push towards $7. Now finds itself consolidating. Level 2 looking heavy, and pre-market not looking great. So a little better float, but probably not going to be something I'm going to keep my eye on. Our buddy NKLA, haven't seen NKLA out for a while. Nikola Corporation, pre-market action not looking great. I think we're gapping up onto the gappers list by what is probably the most finite of...
It's terrible.
...of qualifications.
Let's just move on. We need to pick it up just a little bit because we've got Dr. Katz on, and we're going to be...
you got it.
After we go through the rest of the list and then hit the room for any ideas, we're going to be up against a time crunch.
Yeah, I hear you, buddy. All right, Wish, we got there. And then AMC actually just popped on. So I'll throw it on there. We know what AMC is up to. So we'll pop over. Let's check when we got a lot going up. Let's check the going down, see if anything pops out of us. I'll run these a little faster. Astrospace, looking algo and popping, dropping away from value. However, GAMB, which is gambling.com.
It looks terrible on the short time frames.
Short time frame does look horrible. Interesting on the daily. I mean, we're definitely breaking out with some volume, so maybe we'll come back to GAM just for the fun of it. Sava,
6.9 million share float on GAMB. It's only traded 140. It's only traded 143,000 shares this morning, so that's a no.
So to call it low float garbage is probably just being really nice.
Yeah, it's gotta have more trade than that.
We got Sava Pharmaceuticals dropping back to value here at 52. Stock's been moving around a bit, but I continue to have trouble getting it into a play. NetEase Inc. Dropped and consolidated, gap down. Maybe something going on here, but the pre-market action not looking fantastic. Float's nice though. So I'll throw it on there to see if anything comes in a little later. We got Billy here gapping down, maybe a few of the Chinese stocks. And we got our BTBT, which is going to go with Bitcoin. HUT, which is HUT 8 mining. Solid push yesterday, an indecision. And then mRNA. mRNA is always worthy of being on the list, at least for a review. So we'll throw mRNA up there. Finds itself curling under the average. Maybe it's finally time for mRNA to head back down towards 250 or something like that. All right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and take a quick moment to get in here, get set up, and then we'll get over to some community events. Sound good, Norm?
Yeah, let's see if the room's got anything. We got a couple of minutes, so let's take a few from the room and from YouTube if anybody's got anything that's not on the gappers.
Baba and Tesla. I like those. All right, Baba. Okay, pre-market volume actually for Baba. Baba, I find, tends to never really trade the pre-market, so actually just seeing candles at all is rather encouraging. I just want to remind everyone of how Baba traded yesterday. Really, really poor range here. We did have a good buy-up candle here, but you're really going to need to see some volume come in, some solid initiation before this thing's ready to go. Right now, we find ourselves downtrending pre-market. So it might actually be looking for a squeeze to retest VWAP or something like that, and then maybe continue our downward movement. Maybe this is a bottom. We don't know, but there's definitely not a signal yet, so we'll have to wait. Tesla looks interesting on the daily, and I've been peeking at this one for time. We have this large value range that's set up to the bottom on Tesla around 675-ish, and we've just been up and down around that for a very long time, but we've started to put in this little ascending wedge pattern here as we're starting to push up and try and hold above VWAP. So I don't see the initiation yet, but today may be the day, if things get rallying a little bit, to watch for Tesla to maybe try and break out and rally back up. So Tesla will definitely be interesting to watch. And let's see, let's pop over. I'm going to pop over and grab a couple from the YouTube. Hey, everybody over at YouTube, how are you all doing today? Out there in YouTube, I'm seeing JP Morgan. So I'll put them on there, and then we'll look at crowd, CRWD, and then maybe AMD if we've got an extra second. So let's see, JPM, no pre-market volume at all right now. So I would say the stock is not generically in play. Let's keep an eye on it, though. If it breaks up, might do something, but you need to wait for order flow on that one. Hard to even put a plan together.
No gap, no volume, no way to even determine what's going on there, really.
Exactly. Crowd finds itself moving up a bit, but again, lacking the volume, which is not unusual for crowd. But it doesn't look like we're breaking on catalyst. One other thing for you, if you're looking at crowd, I want you to see the low volume push. We have big high volume here, and then we've been pushing away on low volume. That's normally not a bullish sign. So I would look for crowd to potentially give back some of those gains. And then AMD actually had a pretty decent day on Friday, breaking out a little bit to the top of this range on some volume. So AMD may be really nice to watch to see if it holds previous day's close. Jared's king of all levels, and then takes a break and moves up. All right, cool. So I am going to go ahead and call it there for a minute. We're going to go through our community events here with Norm, and then we're going to have our Mindful Monday, and then we'll come back and grab some levels. What do you got for us today, Norm?
All right, since it's Monday, we'll do the quick full week schedule rundown. We got Brian's trade reviews, swing trade session, 2:30 in the afternoon on Mondays. And then onboarding and tech, usually with Carlos, 8 p.m. Eastern. Mike, can you, if you're out there, somebody covering that? Don't know. I have not heard the update on that, so I apologize with Carlos out on paternity leave. We'll see what's going on. Anyway, Tuesdays and Wednesday, you've usually got Eamon's trade review in the classroom. Success webinars Wednesday, 8 p.m. Psychology Wednesday, 8 p.m. And then mentoring Thursday, you've got Andrew at 11 a.m. and Thor at 8 p.m. on Thursdays. And then crypto on Fridays with Jared at 11 a.m. Speaking of Thor and speaking of success webinars, you've got Tape Reading 101 tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Looking forward to that one. And then next week, Kyle's part 2 of his book map and using it to assist in your trading series will be next Tuesday, 8 p.m. For psychology, this Wednesday, 8 p.m., you've got Dr. Reed, Bad Habits. That encompasses a lot. So check that one out next week, or excuse me, this Wednesday at 8 p.m. And then we've got Creta back. She has been on maternity leave for a while. She'll be on the 8th at 5 p.m. Eastern. Since she is in Europe, it gets a little late for her otherwise. All right. All the super chat and super sticker revenue that we get on YouTube will be matched dollar for dollar by Andrew, donated to charity. This month's charity was Organization for Autism Research. Got a couple of days left. I'll have the total for you. We also have the donation page on the site up now. So thank you all for your donations. Much appreciated. If you want to participate in the member trade of the day, trade of the week, you take a screenshot of your best trade of the day, mark it up. Of course, it should have entries and exits, and then mark it up with any commentary you can. Post it on Twitter, tag at Bearable Traders, at MikeB_BBT, and at NormBBT. Also use hashtags BBT Family. Day trading and stock market will announce the winner each afternoon on Twitter and in the room, and then all the trades of the day are eligible for trade of the week, which is voted on by the team over the weekend and announced on Monday. And then finally, if you're watching on YouTube, haven't been in the room, you'd like to give it a shot, go to the homepage, bearbulletraders.com. Scroll down till you see that test drive button. When you click that test drive button, you sign out, use the promo code PREMARKET24. It'll get you a discount off the intro membership, which is 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. It does not turn into another kind of membership or keep going. You have to choose either a monthly or an annual membership to continue on. Speaking of, if you want to get access to all of the content that I have been describing, you can get 40% off the annual elite membership by using the promo code SUMMER40. Dr. Katz. Good
Norm,
morning,
how are you
sir.
today?
How are you? I'm good.
I'm doing well.
You. I'm good. Welcome. Take it away, sir.
Okay. Today, everybody, on Mindfulness Monday, I would like to talk a bit about gratitude. But the reason I want to talk about that is kind of an announcement that I've recently spoken to Andrew about, and I wanted to tell the community at large. About 10 days ago, I asked Andrew if he and I could have a chat. Last Monday afternoon, we had a very nice, lengthy talk. And I told him at that time that that I had decided that I was going to stop my work with Bearable Traders, but that I needed to explain to him my reasoning behind that. This was not anything having to do with a lack of love or enjoyment of my work with Bearable Traders. What had happened basically for me over the past year or so was that a bunch of my consulting work has taken on greater time and demands. There has been more personal issues that have come up in my life, the death of my mother earlier this month. And it just had me thinking about something that I've preached to everybody out there. And you want to take your own advice at times. And that has to do with work-life balance. And I felt just that in my work-life balance, I needed to make even some small changes in terms of the work demands on my time and energy. And although my time devoted to Bearable Traders on a monthly basis is really not that much, the times that I'm involved were not that conducive for my schedule and my life. And so I just told Andrew that come the end of September, you know, as much as it pained me, I felt it was the best interest for me to kind of pull back and to stop our work. Andrew was very kind of appreciative of our time together. I started with Bear Bull Traders in January of 2020. I have felt great gratitude, not only towards Andrew, who has kind of wanted me to be part of Bear Bull Traders, a community that, frankly, I never thought I'd become part of. Most of my performance coaching work in the finance world over the last 15, 16 years has been with hedge funds, investment management firms, trading firms. Never been involved with a community. I will say that gratitude extends to Norm and Carlos, who, when I started doing these digital presentations on Monday, it was really out of my comfort zone. It was not something I had done before. I felt uncomfortable. I felt I wasn't very good at it. They were have been throughout, incredibly supportive, encouraging, having me focus on the fact that the information I've provided has been very well received, to not worry about like whether I was looking in the camera properly or made a mistake here. So incredible gratitude for those guys, kind of initially holding my hand along the way and allowing me to kind of develop and flourish in my own way. Mike B has been my right-hand man, kind of with the town halls on the webinars for the last year and a half plus. Incredible appreciation there. Peter, who has did a few podcasts with, who has subbed in for Norm occasionally, did a few Thursday afternoon shows. The whole team has been incredibly supportive. And so I will continue my work doing the Monday little mindfulness presentations through the end of September, although next Monday we have a holiday. And then my last town hall, I felt this was very fitting. I reached out to Andrew and said, Andrew, as the last town hall that I do, I felt it would be great just for you and I, Andrew, to have a one-on-one conversation, to really kind of do a deep dive. I know a lot of you know a lot about Andrew and his story, but I just thought he and I talking about some of the kind of the emotional and psychological ride he has taken throughout his career might be, to kind of draw back the curtain and maybe see another side of Andrew that some of you have not been able to see. So I'm really looking forward to that later in September. It's very important. I think what all of this has shown me is that, life takes many turns. There are many challenges. There are many joys. There are many obstacles. And, we never know where things are going to go. One of the things, change is probably the only guarantee in life. And we all need to embrace this and try to be as flexible and nimble and creative as we can, and in bringing what life, facing what life brings us. So I have made this difficult decision. It is very unusual for me to stop an engagement or a connection that I have enjoyed, and I've loved the people. And for all of you out there who have written really nice things and have felt that the information I've provided has been helpful, I can't thank you enough. I feel in my heart I will stay in touch with the group. I'm not sure in what way that will come out. But sometimes you have to take steps for yourself. That means that there's aspects of that change that is painful and hard. So although I feel in stopping my engagement with Bear Bull Traders at the end of the month, at the end of September, is the right thing to do for me and my family, there is sadness in kind of not continuing and not having the same kind of relationship with people. I trust in the Bear Bull Traders family and myself that we will remain connected in some way. But that's kind of what life's plans look like, and what that looks and feels like, and none of us know. So I am very grateful for that connection for almost 2 years. And I asked Andrew if I could make this announcement to the community at large before he told the entire team. And so that's what I've done. So for all of you out there, I have found it wonderful to be able to have your time to present things that I think are helpful in your trading journey. And you've also given back to me with the comments, compliments, suggestions over this last year and a half to 2 years. So Norm, that's what I got for you today. I look forward to the Mindfulness Mondays throughout September, and then we'll wrap it up at the end of the month, and look forward to the town hall with Andrew late in September, which I think should be an incredibly interesting conversation, which I'm hoping people will join us for at that time.
Absolutely, Dr. Katz. It's been a pleasure having you on this segment, working with you for the last almost 2 years, whether it be, teleconferencing like this or in person in New York, or the few times we've been able to hang out together in person. My condolences for the loss of your mother. I was unaware of that fact. I don't know if it was stated and I just didn't hear it or not, but I sincerely, my most sincere condolences for that. And completely understand you will be missed, and we will miss doing this segment with you for sure.
Okay, Norm, thank you very much. I hope everybody has a good holiday weekend next weekend, and I'll be back at you 2 weeks from today.
You got it. Take care, Doc. See you in 2 weeks.
Thanks. Okay.
All right. Well, a little solemn news for me, to be honest. I'm a huge fan of Dr. Katz, and he's been I personally feel like a really big part of helping my progression psychologically as a trader. So a personal shout out to Dr. Katz. Thank you for everything you have done. We are appreciative of it. And I'll look forward to working with you more in the future. I have a strong feeling this won't be like he's not going to just drop off the planet here on us. I think we'll see him around.
And I'll tell you too. We will have Dr. Katz to the end of September. We said we will continue a Mindful Monday after that, so don't worry. We will have this segment continue. We are working on that, and we'll update you in the next few weeks here.
Awesome. Well, let's get rocking and rolling. I guess we'll pop in and get some levels here. We got a few minutes to do that, and then we'll get some live trading with Andrew and Brian. So moving forward, I'm just going to go right back to the SPY, y'all. I do want to point that the SPY is starting to push a little bit, and the SPY is pushing with a titch of volume behind it. So right now we are ranging to the top side on the SPY, but I'm not seeing just a ton of inventory to the top side, so it'll be interesting to see if this is a little bit of a morning squeeze. Often when I see the SPY squeezing like this in the morning on not incredibly high volume, it's normally more of something that happens before it like falls over and comes back and gives up a little bit. But we did have the bullish breakout yesterday, so no bias here. We'll set back and see what happens. If you're using your cam structures, one thing that we will notice here on cam structures is we're already opening near the higher part of the cam areas. So if you're going to want a long SPY, it might be better to let it sell off a little bit. So let's get into what's popping. Support.com, per usual, just kind of doing the thing it's been doing the past few days. We actually find it in quite a narrow range compared to recent pre-market trading, which has been a lot more volatile. So we'll have to keep an eye on support. Maybe it's done for a little bit. Maybe today a little bit more of a choppier day. Notice on our cam ranges, we have a very tight range the past couple of days, so breakouts were expected. Today we have a much wider range. So maybe we get stuck inside the range today for an inside day. If we start to rally, maybe look for R4 to reject. Notice value there in that area. So I'm going to be focusing specifically somewhere right up around this area right near where R4 is now. I'm going to look for that specific area again. If we come up into $50 or sub $50, I want to see us bump around there, maybe turn into a short. WKHS, one of our favorite WSB plays on the list today. Looks like it's been downtrending for quite a while, which isn't surprising. Today finds itself slightly gapped with not a lot of volume. Short float is always pretty high on WKHS, so this one will be interesting to play. One thing I will be looking for on this one for sure, if you look at our daily chart, is the highs of these candles right here. Notice how we've already back tested that as a low. All right, so I'm going to be looking at pre-market low for that level, and then to see if we come back and test. If we hold this level and we move up, then breaking pre-market high obviously is going to be a good thing to play. And then we have value up here at around 1160. So if this thing breaks out, I'm going to be looking for it to rally towards value on the daily. Resistance will likely be encountered somewhere sub $11 as we start to come into this new range, which was a range that we sat in quite a while before and then lost. NURO's been in play for the past couple of days. NURO found itself with big volume and the breaking to the top side. That is certainly interesting. I have not played NURO, so I'm not entirely sure how it plays. Pre-market high obviously is going to be a level to watch. And then let's look at here. We got this kind of bottom consolidation range that we've been testing a lot. That's just under there. And then right now we find ourselves sitting at value. So if we push a little bit and then reject, NURO may give up and start moving back down. If that's the case, NURO may just not be tradable. It's going to go immediately right down into some support areas from the prior consolidation, and it'll probably get bumped around. So with VWAP and then support below, NURO may be a little difficult to trade. My main play on NURO would be looking for a breakout of, above $18 to $19. Let's see here. Wish. I haven't seen Wish for a little while. I like this volume that we picked up here on Wish and then slightly pushed down. Now we find ourselves moving in. The problem is we're very algo and we don't have a lot of order flow. So for now, Wish isn't on the list for me, but it does have some interesting look to the daily if it decides to wake up and do some stuff. AMC just recently popped onto the gappers. It is moving up with volume right into R4, which is quite interesting. Daily giving ABCD feels, which I really like. Notice here we have this big volume on the daily that pushed up and set value here, sub 45. We threw an upside down hammer on high volume, and we have now retraced back into the averages. That retracement has been on lowering volume. That is classic consolidation volume, so that is good, and I like that. I also like that we hit this level right here, and we're already pushing ourselves higher. So the big level that I'm going to be watching on this one is going to be Jared's king of all levels, the previous day's close. I want to see how we're going to play there, and previous day's high. As long as we hold above those two levels, then AMC I feel like is going to be putting itself into a good posture for an ABCD style move, and see if we can run back into value and maybe push up and run back towards the highs of this range. I don't think we will need probably much more levels than that. If we do start to break down, I would look for support to come in right around 38.80. All right, let's go ahead and check out NTES. So far, gapping down, not a huge fan of the consolidation. VWAP at 85.91, that'll be the level. Notice the daily chart on here. Notice how we gap and then have skinny small candles, gap and small candles. So this stock normally doesn't appear to trade very well intraday, but we'll keep an eye on it. We've already rejected value to the downside. I'd look for a squeeze back to VWAP and then maybe a break of pre-market low. mRNA finds itself gapping below value today, which is very interesting. We bought up on mRNA right here off of 348 before on the prior consolidation. This time, notice the difference here. We push down and we break. This time, our low consolidating volume actually takes volume on the bottom side instead of the initiation side. This shows we weren't ready to break, so we've consolidated since, now finding a new low. If we start to lose some of these ranges to the downside, mRNA could continue to give up. I think its eventual destination, you notice value way down at 150, average price paid 236. So I think at some point in time, mRNA is going to attempt to push down and make it back towards VWAP. BABA has been a bad trader the past few days, so your decision if you want to watch it. Stuck at value right now, consolidating. No initiation volume, so I'm really going to need some things for BABA. Most likely, I would keep vaccine halted in Japan due to contamination of. Correct. Okay, so Harry K, solid point. mRNA did have some contamination issues with some of their vaccines, and that has been a part of what's been causing them a little downtick. Remember, anytime you're hurting a company's money or supply chain, investors, especially long-term holders, aren't going to like that. So we'll see how that goes. BABA, I'd wait for some volume to come in, maybe even a squeeze on the market in the China sector altogether. Tesla, we pointed out before, and I actually find Tesla fairly interesting today. Not that the volume is overwhelming or there's any big signal, but I do kind of like how we've set a value area, and now we have this tight range right above the top of it. So I'd like to see if Tesla's going to hold this ascending pattern and press up and make a new high there and start to break. If it does, that should be pretty fun. So I'm going to be watching these previous daily levels and pre-market high to see if we can get some kind of a break there. JP Morgan was on the list, still no volume there, so I'm going to leave JP Morgan, not do too much on it, but this level right here is going to be the key level to the top side. If we break out from there, good. If we bump it and reject, might get a sell. Crowd also pushing, but on low volume. High volume and then low volume push afterwards. I would be very weary of crowd to the long side. Right now the pattern looks weak, even though we're ascending. So I don't know how much top you get out of that before this thing rolls over and starts to come back down. AMD, I threw it on the list because some volume came in pre-market. Here we jumped and started to push here, find ourselves above R3. I'm going to be watching AMD at pre-market high. If we break through here, we'll have to reevaluate. But right now, if it stuffs, we might look for a short play on AMD. But on the daily, we are breaking out and gapping, and I really like that. So if we can start to hold, we got this really tight range right back here. That's where we've already made our pre-market low. So what I'd like to see happen is I'd like to see a sell back down to previous day's close. You know, pre-market low, previous day's close, this area right here, bump there, hold, and make a new high. AMD could try and go long again today. If it stuffs there, that same level may provide a critical short. Let's see, ATER's got the big gap on the daily. If you look back here, you can see we definitely had a consolidation range peg right through there, and we're right in the middle of it right now. So we've gapped and we're already into the range, so I'd look to play this range somewhere in here, a little bit tight for a stock that's moved this much already. So you'll have to be patient with it. This stock actually has really small ranges because it's a low price stock, so you're going to have to really pay attention to it. Notice how we've already hit into this new range, attempted it, and pushed back out. Don't be surprised if ATR gives up a good part of this gap today. Affirm is going to be the one of the main stocks I'm going to be watching today. I have been watching Affirm. Full disclosure, I actually have Affirm in my long-term account, and I've been watching it for a few days on rumors that Amazon and Affirm was going to be doing a credit deal. Think Home Shopping Network meets Amazon. You go in there and now we're confirmed, right? Now you can go into Amazon and you can just click a button, buy now, pay later, low interest. Affirm really tearing up the market in this, really becoming a really big lender that a lot of people are starting to pay attention to. Notice rumor must have been out because we started having some volume spikes in this lower range here, and then a really tight accumulation on a narrow candle was our signal on Friday. Today we find ourselves gapped up. So really solid play. I'm going to be watching Affirm for sure. You got to go back a little bit. We have gaps, so don't be afraid surprised if this thing tries to come back and retest. Actually, it's right here. The bottom of this range area right here. All right, that we lost before when we started to accumulate here. We're above that now. If we start to sell, let's see it come back into $90 and hold. If we don't, then I'm going to be really looking for pre-market high as my main clue I want to go to. We do have a tight range even though we're popped. So let's see if this thing breaks out. If it does, we could look for a full breakout and run today. Last time Affirm had good catalyst. It ran for 140. So let's see if we get that again. NRXP, which is NRX Pharmaceuticals, not finding anything really jumping out there. And then GAMB is the super low float. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. All right, let's go ahead and pop out to the room for a moment, and let's grab a couple of things. Yeah, I agree. AMC's pivot ranges are really nice and narrow, so it'd be interesting to see what we do here. What else do we got? How about YouTube land out there? Hi, everybody. Oh, Nathan McDonald. Hey, buddy. Thank you so much for the super chat. I'm still not set up to flash those across the screen, unfortunately, and give you the credit that you deserve. However, I will just do it verbally. Thank you so much. We have had an absolutely spectacular month raising funds for our autism charity. So we're really stoked about that. So if you all end up want to throw a couple out there, we will go ahead and do that. I see PLTR. I'll go ahead and grab PLTR and take a look at that one. Plantier Tech was one of my favorite traders for maybe a month, about 6 months ago. Whoa, there's the man. Boss coming in strong. Andrew, thank you, brother. As always, supporting the cause, tossing $100 Canadian down. just in case you wanted to see how it was done. Hey, Hyper Viper through $2. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that much. It's been super touching to see all of this. I love that we're raising money through UTEP doing that. Don't forget, Andrew is matching. Even when he donates, he's matching. So he's just on it today. Aaron Lee, hey brother, thank you so much. $5 from Aaron Lee. For everyone else, like, we're not expecting super chats from everyone and money from everyone. So if you can't do that or you're not feeling that, please don't worry about it. Just throw us a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll take that as well. All right, so PLTR, and then we'll look at CCL. CCL, someone heard me say my favorite stock, and then they threw up CCL, so we must be in tune. PLTR, looking a little algo at the beginning of the day here with narrow ranges, but we have had some participation come in. A little heavy still to the downside, so I'm interested to see what that entails. We certainly have a narrow range that's set up on the daily, and a really tight wedge starting to set up here. We tried to break out on Friday. We didn't quite pull it off. And you can see right where we're marked at like $26. That comes right back to the bottom of this. So we've obviously, look at the test and how this tests over and over again. This level is super critical. And it's been attempted to break one time, and it got stuffed when it did reaccumulate. And here we have a bit of an initiation here and some big volume. Now we're making highs. So maybe this is the time PLTR is ready to go. Might be worth keeping on deck for sure. The only thing I don't like is we're opening right in the central pivot range, so I can't really get a bias. So I'm going to need this thing to either sell off a bit at the open or rally before I can take a break on it, but looking good otherwise. And then the room said CCL. CCL here. There is a link which Andrew just posted into the chat room a minute ago. That you can go into there if you want to donate directly, or you can pop over to the YouTube and you can throw it through YouTube. Brian Hardwork Hogan just threw us in $20. Thanks so much, Brian. You are awesome. And BGII King, support for BBT and love for Dr. Katz. Agreed. Dr. Katz, again, we're going to miss you, brother. Been very honored to have gotten to spend the time with you, learning from you that we have had, and hopefully we'll still get the sporadic opportunity to work with you. CCL has actually found itself in this pretty sweet range around 22 for a while, which hasn't provided a lot of intraday opportunities. But just notice the VPA signal here on CCL to the bottom side. We have this day right here, black candle, right, which means the opening price and the closing price were the same exact price. So we ended up doing 85 million shares, but we basically didn't move an inch. Definitely kind of throws out some clues that somebody was buying into a position there. And of course, the next day we find ourselves on a full rally back to value, consolidating and now moving up. I'm going to leave CCL on my list today because I actually do really like how we're pressing into the 50 EMA just below VWAP. If today ends up being a day where the SPY sector decides to rally, and go out with the close it had last week, CCL and maybe travel might provide some opportunities to help SPY out with that. Remember, a lot of our other stocks are really already extended and selling quite high. So in order for the SPY to move, we're going to need some of these lower price stocks to help out and do some work. So maybe stocks like in the travel sector that are still fairly well depressed will give us those opportunities today. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go through the watch list that our moderators are starting to post. We have, going back, we have Dima coming in first. Dima is going to be watching Affirm, Be Big, AMD, and Apple. Mike B is watching AFRM, Affirm as well, Tesla, and NVIDIA. Strong list, Mike. I think we're going to have fun with that one today. We got some IPOs, which is CHWAU, which is a SPAC. I'm sure it won't hold forever, but my personal opinion is if your stock needs more than 4 acronyms to make a ticker, I'm probably not going to trade it. Andrew's got some usual suspects coming in here with AMC. Affirm, Root, Be Big, Spirit, ATER, John H, NVIDIA, Tesla, BAFB, Tiffany also zeroing in on Affirm, AMC, secondary, mRNA, Tesla, and BABA. Solid choices there. I really think mRNA is going to give us some opportunities today. Jared basically just owns AMC at this point. The entire stock, actually, I think he's the market maker now on it, and it's basically the only stock he's been trading for the past like 3 weeks or so. No, I'm just kidding. He's done other stuff. But he's watching AMC and also Be Big. He's liking the trend line and respecting the pre-market volume. Brian Pez, I'm closing it out. mRNA, Billy. I'm interested in some of the BABA Billies just to see if they rally out, Brian. But NTS, Affirm, AMD, and Be Big also potentially coming into play there. And that's the moderators lists. So let's go ahead now and I'll move back out my watch list. Right now, I'm really liking. Let's see. I'm actually going to use CCL. That came in later as part of my secondary. Tesla is also, and BABA, part of my secondaries. I'm going to watch AMD and let's see, which was the other one? AMD and Affirm as my primaries. AMD, Affirm, and mRNA as my primaries. All right, and there. All right, so let's. Oh, Umar, thank you so much. 3650 being sent in by our good friend Umar. Really appreciate that. You guys are just killing it. We've done fantastic raising for this charity. It's going to be great. Yeah, so keep that in mind. TJ is making a good point here as we're popping back into the room. Keep in mind the spread on Affirm. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and cut over to live trading with Andrew and Brian. I really appreciate everyone's time today. Again, thank you so much for your super chats and YouTube. And finally, Dr. Katz, much love, my friend. Thank you for everything you've done for us. Andrew and Brian, all yours, gentlemen.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and thank you, Thor. As always, great analysis. And yeah, lots of things looking interesting today. Spirit is ripping again. See, Blinn is popping up on the screen here from the scanner. What's going on there? I think NVIDIA is going to be a nice play. I think it's looking like it's going to be strong. I think that's probably a good choice too.
Good morning, everybody.
Yes.
Good morning. Thank you so much. You guys can hear me, yes, Brian?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks like Bitcoin's selling off here. So we've got all the Bitcoin plays dropping.
BLAI and Blinn. That popped up.
Yeah, I see that.
And I don't like root below the VWAP. Let's see if BLIN is good. The stocks are gap up at the open above the VWAP. I like them. But when they lose the VWAP, I'm not really a big
No, I wait for them. I'm looking at Be Big maybe to sell off. Then we'll look for a consolidation. And then we'll play it.
Excellent.
If that happens, so Billy's selling off still.
AMC potential breakout. 42.
AMC.
Support SPRT is coming back to VWAP. If it gets the VWAP, that would be a good potential play. Hopefully it doesn't get that halted. So, yesterday, Friday was really just out of control, but now it's much better. mRNA. I won't selling off. Thank you so much. Yes. Alrighty. This blue light glasses that I'm putting, they're actually really good. I had some pain in my eyes recently, and these blue light glasses for the monitor, they actually helped a lot. At least I think they had. AFRM, yeah, potentially. This one really bounced back from our tree.
Yeah, that's yeah, it's really it's down below the VWAP right now. All right, guys, just getting ready here. It's 30 seconds to the open. Looking at Moderna, probable short.
Moderna.
It's looking really weak. It might pop up at the open. Billy's looking weak too. I don't like the spread on Billy right now, but hopefully it'll tighten up a bit. Here we go.
All right, so the market is open. Let's see what do we have. Where is the volume?
Yeah, Moderna's dropping.
BBIG has a really nice volume. It's a big drop, BBIG.
Billy's popping up here.
The volume in BBIG is really nice. I like that.
Just shorted some Moderna. 368.
MC's
still watching Billy here. Short Billy as well here. That was a great, not a good fill. 70-60.
MC's going back. I'm taking a long on BBIG. Taking a long on BBIG at 890. It's a little bit tricky trade. It doesn't really set up, but it looks like it wants to pop up. Oh, yes. Yes. There you go. Sold more. Nice. BBIG, 944. Oh,
just covering some Billy at 70-10. Moderna's popping up on me.
sold BBIG. Guys, tell me you are in BBIG. It's going to go through 10. BBIG on 980. Selling more. It's the, oh yeah, look at this level. I didn't know that. Yeah. I have 4,000 shares left on it. It's at about 10. Oh yeah, beauty. Still holding above 10. Yeah.
Just got long for this to run to 10 on BBIG as well.
Oh yeah, look at that beauty. Sell about 10. I just made 10 grand on it.
Wow.
AMD is going
really
up.
ripping.
Yeah, ripping AMD.
Same with NVIDIA. Yeah.
Oh, what was that drop? AMD is ripping.
Come on, Billy, lose 70.
I'm getting out of BBIG completely. Done.
Yeah, I'm out of Billy. I'm all out of Billy. The rest of it still short Moderna.
Oh, he's ripping nice. Selling some ARC here. TNA.
Okay.
Yeah, Greg, nice. I'm also done with it. Done. I am done with my day. I'm going back to bed, guys. I'm sorry.
There you go. Just covering some Moderna here, 365.50.
BBIG. All right, so yeah, to be honest with you, I'm done with my trading day. I'm not going to trade anything else. So BBIG actually made 7,600. I had some ARC and TNA that I sold. So, you know, I'm just closing my day at $17,000. I don't know. That's a really, really good day for me. No position for me except some ARC and TNA. I might add into that. I mean, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, just got long some of the AMD on that little pullback there.
AMD was nice, yeah.
Yeah, AMD's still going.
I love
still
the volume on BBIG.
Still have a short position on mRNA.
AMD is strong. What happened with AMD?
Yeah, I'm going to sell some of that.
AMC is losing it.
Wow, BBIG, watch. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to get halted now, BBIG.
Yeah. Just watch for we'll watch BBIG just for in about a half an hour, see how if it consolidates.
Oh, it didn't get halted. Wow.
Just going to sell some AMD here, 114.39. Just looking at
Qs are really ripping. Q.
Yeah, the Qs are ripping. SPY's up a little bit. Dow and IDWM are down a bit. I'm all out AMD. I think I've kind of missed the big move on it. SPY's coming back up here, maybe.
AMC popped up. I don't know. I don't like the AMC today that much. AFRM. Support. No. PLTR. Not sure if I want to trade PLTR. Yeah, PLTR is nice too. AMC is coming back. PLTR. How's the YouTube people are doing? Wow. Thank you so much for all the donations, guys. Really, really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, PLTR is
Nice
ripping, eh?
choice.
What's going on there?
Yeah,
Apple's on popping up on the scanner. There's a lot of red is showing
Apple.
up on the screen here.
Oh, Apple is also really strong. Yeah, I think the Qs were really, really strong. AMD is bouncing back to VWAP. I don't know, potential buy at the VWAP. I don't touch BBIG anymore. It's just that drop was so nasty.
Hmm.
AMD, what's the all-time high on AMD? Still, we're having some time to get to all-time high, 122. Good guys, how did the YouTube people did? If you had a good time, AFRM is popping up. AFRM, a film holding.
Yeah, it seems to be kind of stuck around the VWAP. It's one of those ones that's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, unless it can break out of this range. I don't have a good feeling about it.
SPRT. BBIG seems that it wants to stay above the VWAP, but I don't trust it
Yeah,
anymore.
I don't know. Here we go with mRNA. It's going to make a move now. All right, covering some more here. 363.40.
I was thinking of buying some AMD below the VWAP. If I was not done with my day, I would have definitely buy some on this pullback on AMD. And it was really strong. Kind of knew it was going to bounce back. Really strong, 2% up. Apple back to 150. Yeah, nice. Apple is going to go through 151. Apple soon all-time high.
I don't like a firm. It just feels like this is something that's just going to chop around the VWAP.
AMC this time might go.
I mean,
doesn't have much volume today.
It may break out. Yeah, I know. I can see that. Yeah. I've already covered some down here at 363.40.
You're still short mRNA?
Yeah, a little bit. I've covered most of it now on that last drop. Thanks, Peter. Just took a bit of a long here on PLTR, right at the VWAP, 26.27. Just looking for a bounce off the VWAP here. Here we go.
Ah, what a day. What a day. IWM is selling out.
Yeah, it's down 1/3%.
Yeah. BBIG is back. Might go through the 10 this time. Let's see how the price action is now. Yeah, that's really weak up there. Yeah, I don't know. It's getting a little bit jerky. I don't want to. I don't want to trade it. Might be a good
Excuse me.
entry here, but it's a little bit scary now.
I'm getting out a half a PLTR at 33, 26.33. I don't like the way it seems to be stalling here.
On which one? Sorry.
PLTR. I traded it off the VWAP.
Yeah, AMC finally broke out 42.
Okay, so here finally we're going to go through. There's a fair value line right here at 38. See if we can get through that.
BLIN didn't do anything. Hector.
Here we go. Here we go. Taking some more off. 26, 40, 43 filled. See if we can get back up to high a day now on PLTR.
Yeah, BBIG didn't do anything nice after that. AMC broke that. AMC. I should, if I was not done with my day, I would definitely mess around with AMC. Has the nice move. Apple did break through 150 eventually. Yeah, that's nice. Apple is really beautiful and strong.
Yeah, look at Microsoft came ripping back here. I'm out of the rest of PLTR. I don't like the way it's kind of failed there. Didn't quite get to 2650.
Nice DC, very nice. Tesla, Jared is trading Tesla.
Tesla's been popping up on the scanner.
726 level, yeah.
Affirm looks weak. Sitting right at pre-market level here.
BRT selling off. BBIG, yeah, I wouldn't touch BBIG anymore. It's getting really nasty. The price action on it. Tesla is nice. Apple turned out to be, the Qs were really strong. Still strong.
Yeah. It's funny, NVIDIA did the same thing as it did on Friday. Popped up and now it's selling off. What's AMD doing? Same thing, yeah.
Off.
I just got short a little Affirm, AFRM. It's just, it's looking really kind of dicey here. It's going to cover some.
Very nice, guys. Very nice. Watching IWM for a scalp. So if you are IWM for a scalp, why not buying some TNA? Huh?
It's going to cover some more.
IWM is
covering
getting
some more Affirm.
S3.
Covering some more Affirm at 93.
Yeah, potential something on IWM.
Still holding from the Affirm short. Whew, here we go. We're going to lose 92.
I'm adding some TNA here because IWM is at S3. Potentially TNA.
I stopped out of the rest of Moderna flat on the rest. That's still a good trade. Here we go. Just
Moderna
gonna
is
cover.
squeezing.
Oh, here. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Yeah. Just got filled 91.99 on
which one?
a firm.
On
Trading. I'm short a firm.
short. Yeah.
Yeah.
Short FM.
Yeah. Just got a little bit left. Yeah, PLTR rolled over.
DLIN, no volume, so that one really did anything. Root didn't do anything. PLTR. ARC is selling off a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, look at Moderna get ripping.
Moderna is squeezing. Yeah, it's really
Jesus,
squeezing.
yes. Yeah, squeezing people. Firm squeezing right now as well.
Yeah, no trade for me after this BBIG trade. It's for sure. Just chilling for now, see what we get. I haven't seen any setup that I'm really, really excited about. Otherwise, I would have definitely traded. SPRT did nothing. AMC was a nice squeeze above R4, but I don't like it now. But they're not to be very strong. It's just punching through the VWAP.
I think it's squeezing people for sure.
So here's the thing with some of these lower prices stock like BLIN, Root, what else? Some of these lower price stocks, when they lose the VWAP, the stocks are gapped up, especially the lower price ones. When they lose the VWAP, they're going to go down, and it's really hard to catch anything on them. Moderna might stay strong. So IWM is really holding a support at 225. Jared is long, so my TNA is doing some stuff.
Yeah, IWM's looking like it might be putting in a bottom.
No, never. I don't use hard to borrow. And the reason for that is just IB doesn't have this short locate thing. Yeah, I just don't use it because IB doesn't have it. But TNAs. But if you're using like CMEG or Alliance or other brokers, they have that. I mean, for hard to borrow locates, it's just they're really expensive. They're really tricky to do that, and it's not my style, to be honest with you. There are some communities that pretty much what they do is just they short these low float stocks, but not my really not my thing. So TN is bouncing. Nice scalp, really nice scalp, Jared, on IWM. So Jared did an scalp from IWM. So you could potentially take a long on TNA, which is the leveraged ETF on that if you're trading IWM. So as you see, let me bring the IWM chart here on a 1 minute chart. That's exactly what Jared did long, 225 level. See bounce back from 225 to 2568. You could do the TNA, which goes into the leverage direction. I added some TNA because I saw Jared is going long, but I'm gonna hold it probably a little bit longer. But that was a really nice pop on it. Yeah, Tunde, I'm gonna talk about the BBUIG trade in the pre-market. It was one of those trades that I went with a gut feeling a little bit because, as you see, I went jumping before the 1 minute candlestick closes, but I saw that really bouncing back from the VWAP a couple of times. Almost just before this candlestick closes, I decided to go long, and then as soon as it came back up and I saw some white, I just added some more. Nice. Very nice. Might have even was at S3 over there, huh? Yeah, that's exactly it.
I'm still sticking with this affirm short. As long as it stays under 93. There's an S2 level here at 85. That might be a little optimistic. Now, yeah, it's about where I'm in at right now, 95. As long as we stay below this this 9 moving average on the 2-minute chart.
IMC is going. Sorry, guys. I'll be back in a second. I just I have only ARC and TNA. I don't have any other positions, so just holding this a little bit. I'll be back in a second.
I'm just watching a firm here because I think it's might be turning around here. We'll see if it can get through the 9. It's right on the 9 moving average in the 2-minute chart now. The thing I don't like about this chart is the 9's kind of flattening out. I'm actually going to get out of the rest of it here. That's still a good trade. I kind of feel like it might go back up to, it might get back up to the 20. Which is around 95. Interesting. Um, I don't look at the ATR per se. I do look at levels. I do look at the Camarillo levels, S2, S3, and S4, and previous day high, previous day low, previous day close are also on my chart, and I find those are very instructive. Especially Jared did just recently did a webinar on King of Levels, the previous day close. These are amazing. They do really respect price action. Does really respect these levels. SPY is breaking out here. SPY and the Qs. IWM's kind of bouncing back here. Yeah, that was a nice catch by on the IWM on that bottom around 225. A firm is literally just stuck right on the 9 moving average 2-minute chart, trying to decide which way to go here. Billy and B-Big selling off. B-Big's really selling off here. Looks like B-Big's maybe going to get halted here. Yep, halted. Halted to the downside. That's never good if you're long. This Spirit stock is crazy. It was up another, what was it, up another $10 today? And now it's up $12. I had some NURO. I held some NURO over the weekend and sold some of it after the market on Friday, and then didn't wake up early enough to catch the pop up to almost got to 20, I guess. Yeah, I think I think I got in at Friday around. Trying to get in at 1560, I think, because it pressed nicely into the close, and I think it actually went up over, sold some around 1770 in the aftermarket. I was really, we were joking about this on Friday at the close. Peter was checking with the Magic 8 Ball, asking if I should go all in with a YOLO trade on it.
Are you kidding me? Apple is at 151.
Yeah, Microsoft is up above 300 too.
You gotta be kidding me. There's nothing that stops this. SPRT is doing some stuff. AMC.
Oh, nice trade
really
on Apple.
nice.
Yeah, nice trade on Apple. Got that breakout.
YouTube guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching.
The Apple trade too. Nice. Hamza got AMC. He's in there with Jared. Nice. Oh, nice move on PLTR. Great trade on that. Good trade on that, Jazz.
Hey, Farmer, FM Holdings. That one.
Yeah, there goes a firm. It's fine. It's popping now.
Apple strong. All the tech is just blowing up. Facebook decided to continue for all-time high as well.
Yeah.
QQ. Nice, Thor. Nice. Share your app. Share your trade, Thor. Maybe do a recap for us on that to see exactly what's happening. Guys, I want to do a quick recap a little bit earlier. If you don't mind, then Brian, if you're staying here, just maybe do a quick recap. Thor, thank you so much, YouTube guys. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say we're gonna drop off YouTube now.
Yeah. So
for
thanks
your
YouTube
recap.
guys.
Okay. Yeah.
Really
Thanks everyone.
That. Thanks for if you want to support us, maybe a thumbs up or subscribe to our channel. See you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Or join us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll go back to the